Frozen 2 tells us that the king and queen of Arendelle died trying to find answers and help their daughter. This video tells you there's more to it than that. Protagonists have dead parents. That's just how it goes. Elsa and Anna are no different. The tragic demise of King Agnar and Queen Iduna are the final nails in the coffin of Elsa's isolation in the first film. The reason for the journey that took their lives wasn't all that important then. What with Anna slowly freezing to death from the inside and Elsa causing an eternal winter thanks to the whole prolonged isolation thing that the death of their parents inadvertently caused. Safe to say, there were more pressing matters to deal with at the time than their parents' travel itinerary. The second film, however, makes it clear that the journey was incredibly important. In fact, had King Agnar and Queen Iduna been successful in their mission, none of what happened in either of the Frozen films would have ever had to happen. But they weren't successful. The waves got too high, the waters were too rough, and the royal Arendellian ship went down in the Dark Sea. A tragedy whose effects would ripple out years into the future, causing Arendelle to nearly meet its end not once, but twice. Elsa and Anna go 6 years after the deaths of their parents, thinking that their ship went down in the Southern Sea. The idea is shattered when they quite literally stumble across the royal Arendellian vessel on the shores of the Dark Sea, very much to the north of Arendelle. They learn two important things from the discovery of the ship. Firstly, through Elsa's ability to invoke the memory of water still trapped in the wooden boards, the final moments of their parents' lives are revealed. Their steadfast commitment to finding answers to help their daughter, the realization that the ship was going under, and their final heartwarming embrace as the water overcame them. More importantly, however, they learn where their parents had been going. Holland, a myth from a children's lullaby. Of course, in the world of Frozen, where rock trolls that can see the future and dabble in arranging marriages roam free, and magic is real and tangible. A myth isn't something so easily dismissed, lullaby or not. After all, King Agnar had followed a shady map to help one of his daughters once before. What was stopping him from doing it again? The thing about lullabies, though, in the words of Honey Marin, they always have to have some terrible warning in them. And, well, not too far or you'll be drowned definitely hits the nail on the head. Then we find out the water was sentient. We meet the other spirits a little earlier on. The first was the wind spirit that Olaf so kindly bestowed the name Gale upon. Unlike the other spirits, Gale doesn't really have a physical form, which is befitting of the wind, really. Shortly afterward, the most adorable little fire spirit to ever grace the big screen scurries across the forest, nearly burning it all to the ground. He's cute though, so we've elected to forgive the flaming blue salamander's pyromaniac tendencies. His name is Bernie. By the way, he likes snow. Then there are the earth giants who collectively represent the earth spirit, which isn't really elaborated on, but considering it's not terribly relevant right now, we'll let it go. Other than Elsa, that leaves us with one spirit, the spirit of water, otherwise known as Nock. Like all the other spirits, when we first meet Nock, it is very, very agitated. Considering the whole imbalance that Elsa's granddad King Runard caused when he murdered the leader of the Northuldra and trapped everyone in the Enchanted Forest, it's understandable. But how the Nock behaves reveals something. When Elsa attempts to cross the Dark Sea to Holland, the Nock tries to stop her. Considering it's the spirit of water, stopping Elsa ends up looking a lot like drowning her. Fortunately, Elsa is able to tame the Nock with her magic. Who else knows what could have happened otherwise? Well, actually, we know. And so do Elsa and Anna. We'd already watched someone else try to cross the Dark Sea, and we had watched them drown. King Agnar and Queen Iduna. They didn't die because of a tragic accident on rough seas. They drowned because of the Nock. Just like the lullaby said, right? Go too far and you'll be drowned. Only the lullaby wasn't talking about drowning in the Dark Sea. The warning was about Holland, the river found but lost, the frozen frozen river, where Elsa dove too deep while following a memory and froze because of it. You drown when you dive too deep into a river. You freeze a frozen river. That's what the lullaby was warning against. Dive deep down into our sound, but not too far, or you'll be drowned. The warning had nothing to do with the dark sea. It had nothing to do with the knock. So when we're left with one question, why did the royal ship sink? Why were the king and queen of Arendelle killed when all they were trying to do was help their daughter? They hadn't gone too far. They didn't even make it to Ahtohallan. Or did they? Water has memory. Again and again throughout the film, from just about every character, we hear the same phrase: water has memory. We can gather from Olaf's surprisingly helpful explanation that it's from passing through people and animals that water gets its memory.
But all that matters is I was right and water has memory, and thus I live.
We also know that in the world of Frozen, the future isn't some uncertain thing. There are choices that can be made, paths that can be taken, all leading to specific outcomes. We know this from Grandpappy's warnings about Elsa's possibly dangerous future in the first film. So at one point in this universe, there was a potential future where Elsa followed the call of her mother's voice to Ahtohallan, uncovered the past, realized the full potential of her power, became the fifth spirit, and freed the enchanted forest. For that future to become a reality, Elsa had to go to Ahtohallan, which meant there had to be a call. The water would be able to remember it, to make the call when the time was right, but to do that, it needed the memory. It needed Queen Iduna. So when King Agnar and Queen Iduna's ship set sail across the Dark Sea, the Knock made sure that Queen Iduna was enveloped by the water, and with her, all of her memories taken to Ahtohallan, lying in wait in the glacier river for the day her song would call out to her daughter. A more tragic version of the theory presents itself when, in a memory preserved in Ahtohallan, we watch a young Iduna harness the power of the wind spirit. She floats into the back of the wooden wagon, carrying a young Agnar in her arms with seemingly no effort, and lowering his unconscious body down gently. She cowers, seemingly hoping to hide herself, and in a moment the wind has thrown a blanket over her. Maybe all of the Nuthaldra were once able to harness the powers of the spirits, though nothing is said to indicate that this might be true at any point in the film. So based on the information we have, Iduna is the only other human we see that shows any element ability other than Elsa. We know that Elsa's magic is what helped her tame the Knock, magic her mother may have also possessed, albeit in a slightly different way. Who's to say Iduna was raised Nuthaldra, who was familiar with the spirits, wouldn't have recognized the Knock? Who's to say she wasn't able to tame it herself to ride it across the Dark Sea to reach Ahtohallan? Only when she went too deep in search of answers to help her daughter, when she drowned in the frozen river. There was no one there to save her. Without Anna, Elsa would have stayed frozen. Iduna had been alone. Whether or not Iduna survived the Knock's attack on the royal ship, it's her memory that guided Elsa to Ahtohallan and allowed her daughters to restore the balance. It's up to you to decide what you believe, but don't think too hard, or you might just freeze, or however the lullaby goes. See ya in the next one.
I need to ask you a question.
Okay.
Do you want to build a snowman?
What?